Yeah, there we go. Hey, how's it going? So my name is Yancey. I'm one of the founders of Kickstarter and head of community there. I will talk a little bit today about kind of how Kickstarter works for people who are thinking about starting their own projects, and how it's worked especially for hardware projects so far. So I want to start just by showing this. This is the very first successful Kickstarter project. Had 3 backers, got $35. The goal of the project was you would give someone $5 and he would draw you a picture of whatever you wanted. And this project was funded 4 days after we launched. We launched on April 28th or 5 days. This was funded on May 3rd. So this is the very beginning of Kickstarter, and this is still kind of what it is. Here's an idea, come be a part of it. Since then, quite a lot has happened. There have been 72,000 projects that have launched. 63,000 of them have gotten at least some money, and 30,000 have been successfully funded. They have reached their goals. They have their money. They're off and doing their thing. And a lot of people have been a part of it. Almost 3 million people have backed a project. About 700,000 people have backed more than one project, so those people are a little more hardcore. And collectively, over $300 million has been given to projects so far. And every project is just by, just a regular person, just doing something they're excited about. And these other 3 million people got excited about it too and decided to become a part of it. Here you can see where all the money has gone so far. So film is the largest category by dollars, almost $90 million. You can see it goes on down. Games is one that has really emerged this year, which I'll talk about in a minute. And if you look at where the number of projects are, it's a little bit different. We see a lot more music projects, a lot more art, publishing, theater. Those are the things that we really started with, sort of the arts background that we really care about. What's interesting is that all these numbers that I just showed, none of this is proprietary in any kind of way. We have a page on the site, Kickstarter/help/stats, that has live stats of everything that we track for the most part. You can look at number of products funded, how much money has been pledged. You can figure out our exact revenue pretty easily. All this is apparent right there, and it's updated about 3 or 4 times a day. Every time we deploy code, we update the numbers on this page. So you should check it out if you're curious. And if you look at it really closely and open up your calculator program, you can figure things out. So for example, the success rate on Kickstarter is 44%, but 89% of all money goes to successfully funded projects. So you're either going to raise a lot of money or raise very little. There's very little in between. You can see that especially with the last number. For projects that have reached 60% of their funding goal, they've succeeded 98% of the time. So if people like you, they really like you. If they don't, well, we'll leave that unsaid. But you can see here, it's generally how it works. The all-or-nothing funding mechanism really pushes money to things that people are behind and creates its own momentum. A few weeks ago, we did a blog post looking at some of the data on this site, specifically related to game projects, video games, board games, card games. And what we found is that this has really been the year of the game on Kickstarter. So last year, $3 million was pledged to game projects on the site, which is really awesome. This year, already, it's over 50 million. This graph is about 10 days old, and it's actually already over 60 million so far this year. But I want to show you a little video. It's a montage of a bunch of game project videos that I think give a sense about what this is all about. Please get sound on the... We'll start that again. Yeah? Yeah, there we go.
Salutations.
I'm Joshua E.C. Newman.
I'm Luke Peterschmidt.
My name is Jay.
And I'm Tiffany.
I'm Neil Stevenson.
Hi, I'm Jake Lewandowski.
And I'm Matt Lewandowski.
Hi, we're the men who wear many hats. It's another hat.
Hello, America.
I'm Tim Schafer, and I'm a man of many passions.
We make video games.
When we went to PAX, what was the number one question we were asked?
Is it a billion-dollar franchise?
Probably not.
Then I can't help you.
So you're turning down a game that the fans want.
Well, screw that.
It's the sum total of every expressive medium of all times made interactive. Like, how is that not? It's awesome.
I hope to make something strange and unique for you to enjoy.
I can't think of anything more boring than doing something for the sole purpose of making money.
We really love games, but we feel like a lot of the current crop of mainstream games has been sort of polluted by money and catering to the lowest common denominator. We want to do something different.
And we want to do it without any pesky publishers telling us to dumb it down or to make it tamer so we can get it into Walmart.
Okay, let's talk about a few minor tweaks.
All right, well, I don't want to stray too far from the original.
Oh, no. I mean, these are just tiny modernizations, if you will. Take, for instance, we would like it to be a first-person shooter.
Excuse me?
In our numbers people, they tell me romantic vampires are really big right now, and we feel like they would seamlessly fit into the Wasteland storyline.
Maybe we should use birds as weapons.
Ooh, that's good, that's good. I'm glad we're on the same sheet of music.
We didn't want any outside influence holding the purse strings on this. We wanted to design a game that we really felt passionately about.
It's not just a game, like I'm so closely attached to it. This is my identity.
I've got a shot to making the video game that I've been dreaming about. I'm confident that we can make it really, really awesome.
So for all these people, all these game makers, they're taking their ideas straight to the world, straight to their audience, straight to the public, and they're making them together. And you can see audiences have really been excited about it. It's cool to be a part of something from the very beginning. You don't just get the game or whatever is being made, you get to say that you were a part of it. And that means something. There's value in that. And that's really what's been happening across all of Kickstarter. And I think it really comes back to this idea that every Kickstarter is a story. Every project is just a person doing something that's important to them, asking other people to get involved. And we all get to participate in a lot of different ways. And the story really comes about in 3 different parts. And the first is with the project video. So right there you saw a lot of project videos. And project videos are kind of commercials made by normal people. And no one wants to make a commercial, so instead you just kind of talk very sincerely about what it is that you want to do. And they're very direct, and they're very personal. And I want to show you another little montage of kind of the prototypical Kickstarter video.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
What's up, people?
Hi.
Hey! Hello. I thought we were going to do hello.
Hi.
I love your new shoes. Are those new shoes?
Hi, my name is Raquel.
And I could go on, but this is a Kickstarter campaign video, and I haven't even told you what my project is yet.
So the idea is this.
I'm writing a book. The feature film.
Stop motion animations.
Sci-fi music video album.
But people actually be able to buy a couture dress that they themselves design.
I want to make a new graphic novel, and I want you to get some original art.
This time I decided to write things that were more lyrical. I hope to make something strange and unique for you to enjoy.
I made a film called Codependent Lesbian Space Alien Seek Same.
Right now, I'm sitting on over 200 hours of incredible footage.
I'd like your help to complete it.
Cut out all that extraneous stuff, all those extraneous costs, and get to the point, which is simply more art in front of more people.
The last piece of the puzzle is going to be you.
We cannot do this without you. We can't.
We need you to be a part of this. This is a collaborative experience.
If you back this Kickstarter project, you will be cool and everybody will like you.
I want to make a show that you don't just watch. Something unpredictable, strange, and maybe even amazing. So let's do this thing.
I'm really excited for this. I think that this is worth doing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching our Kickstarter.
Let's go make a story.
We can make it together.
So just a lot of faces, a lot of people. So that's how most of us get first pulled into a project. And the other way you get to be a part of the project are through rewards. So every project is required to offer rewards. Typically, it's whatever's being made. So if you're writing a book, someone will get a copy of the book, or the DVD if you're making the movie. You also invite people to be a part of the creative process, so you show them what's happening in real time with updates. And you can see how things generally break down. The $25 is the most common amount that people pledge. $100 is the tier that's generated the most money. So while there might be more backers at $25, $100 is more lucrative for creators. And you can see about 5 rewards is the ideal for a project to offer. The other way that the Kickstarter project is a story are through the updates. And so when a project launches and is funded and they're going off to make the thing, you know, when you're raising money to write a book, you have to write the book and print it and do all those things. And people get to see that process as it's ongoing. So creators write updates saying, here's what happened today, here's what happened on the set, and those get emailed out straight to backers. But what it does, it really grounds things in the process. You know, Kickstarter is not, you're not buying something that's already made, you're creating something along with somebody. And so that process is a really good way to bring people into it. And the last of the videos I want to show is one from a project called The Cosmonaut. And it was a project to make a stylus. It was by these 2 guys who'd done a project earlier called The Glyph. And they made this really great video showing how the stylus was made. I want to show that to you.
Did you ever wonder how crayons were made? I've often thought about people making crayons. I'll do some more of this later, but I'd like to show you some people making crayons. Let's come along. I have a film of it here. And then people take those boxes to the stores where other people come to buy them. So they buy the crayons.
So that's one of the most watched product updates that we've had. And what's beautiful to me about that is that you know, the allure of Amazon Prime plus the global supply chain plus all these things has made us feel like the products that we buy just grow on trees, and that they don't have authors, that there isn't a process, they aren't things that have to be made. And making things is not always easy, and it's not always predictable. And so projects that really focus on that process are really kind of the best parts of Kickstarter. And just about 2 weeks ago, we posted a blog post on our site called Kickstarter's Not a Store that was talking about this idea and talking about how people looking at projects and mistaking this notion of someone creating something for something that already exists. And that there's a big gap between the idea of something and the existence of something. And that gap is a beautiful thing. That gap is where you figure things out, where things are really created. And we were emphasizing to our community that we want people to focus on that, on the process. And so we instituted 4 new guidelines for hardware and product projects on Kickstarter to try to reinforce this idea. And the first was that we added a thing called risks and challenges. So every project now, when you're building your project page, you have to fill out a little section where you have to talk about what are the things that could go wrong when you make your project. What's the hard stuff? Is it going to be the tooling? Is it going to be that your partner is a flake? Like, what is it going to be? Just talk about it so people know. Every project has its hurdles, so talk about what yours are. The other thing that we did is we said no more photorealistic renderings. So we were seeing projects put up renderings these pictures that you couldn't tell whether it was a real object or not. And so I would see this thing, and I'm like, fantastic. That's going to be great on my trip to Puerto Rico next week. But in reality, it's months and months and months away from being made. So instead, we asked people to show CAD designs, show technical drawings, show the process of how something comes to be, and then show the physical prototype that you have now. Let people see what it looks like, even if the wires are still showing. That'll build a nice community around your project, and you'll probably get some great feedback, too. The other thing we said was no product simulations. So you can only show your hardware or product doing the thing that it can actually perform. So you say, here's this phone that I made. Right now it can text. In the future, I hope it can make phone calls and connect via Bluetooth. But you can't pretend to talk on the phone if it can't actually do that yet. And again, this is just grounding people in what's currently been made and what it will be in the future. And the space between those things is really exciting. It's a lot of fun. And the last thing we did is we said no bulk quantities. So we were seeing projects offering basically pallets of rewards. Get 100 of something, get 10 of something. And it was creating this idea that these things are sitting somewhere in some storeroom in Iowa and just ready to go, ready to be shrink-wrapped and shipped out. So we instituted these changes just a couple of weeks ago, and we'll see how they go. This is our notion of how to focus this category on a lot of what this weekend is about, which is just making stuff. One thing that the basic idea of this is just show your work. That's really the underlying point that we're trying to drive home. So when you show your work, what happens is that your backers, the people who give you money, they become your community. And that's a really important distinction. Your community are people who are going to be cheering for you, who are going to be a part of this, who are going to be rooting along, helping you out, giving you solid feedback in those moments where you feel like you're alone in a cave somewhere trying to figure out some hard problem. And your backers generally come from the people that you already have attracted to you before. People who've liked your work before, people who you know on the internet, those sorts of things, and the community builds out from there. The last thing I want to discuss is just the tools that we provide creators. So when you're using Kickstarter as backers, you're just seeing the project page and you're pressing video. But for creators, there's a whole suite of things that you have behind the scenes that give you insight into what you're actually doing. So you have a creator dashboard that shows day by day how much money you've gotten, where you rank according to your goal. We show you where your money has come from. So what percentage of your dollars have come from within Kickstarter, people browsing the site, what percentage have come from outside links. We show you the list of all of your referrals and how much money and how many pledges have come from each. How many people have finished your video. That's often a hard stat to see. A lot of people skip to the end. You also show your reward popularity, what percentage of your pledges are coming at what levels, gives you a sense of what's working and what's not. A backer report where you collect all of your backers' information, you can export it into CSVs or Excel or whatever to organize everything. And then the screen where you can post your updates and talk to people about what you're doing. So a lot of tools we're building more all the time. We really view the creators as the core part of Kickstarter. We spend a lot of time thinking about that experience and trying to make it as solid as possible. So again, this idea, every Kickstarter is a story. The very last thing I want to do is just talk about Kickstarter itself. So this on the screen, this is the Kickstarter team. You can see this page at kickstarter.com/team. We're just 42 people, which from being there from the beginning, it feels like a lot. I think it's probably a little smaller than what people might think. About half the team works with project creators and backers, finding cool projects and showing them to people. The other half is building the site, designing it, and thinking of ways that the site could be better. We're based here in New York in the Lower East Side on Rivington Street in an old tenement building, 3 stories of an old building. And we've been there from the beginning. We started this company because we really believe in this idea of helping people do things, of making things. And our intention is to be around forever. We're really trying to build this for the long haul and just to be a place of opportunity for people to just create. And since we're here at Maker Faire, I figure I have to show the open job positions. If anyone is interested in joining Kickstarter, we're hiring a lot of positions right now. We're also looking for someone from the Maker community to help us work with projects, hardware projects, and things like that. So if you're interested in that, certainly let us know. You can email us at jobs@kickstarter.com. We're really nice. We'd love to hear from you. And I want to close with one last thing, which is that we on the site, we look at projects all day long. That's all that we do. And we really think of Kickstarter as a medium. Like the project page is just, it's its own form of something. And so we see a lot of reoccurring tropes and ideas and the videos that we watch. We've recently started collecting a few of them. So here's a little montage of one that you've probably seen if you've looked at Kickstarter before.
Oh, hi. Oh.
Oh.
Oh, hi. Oh, hey, how's it going there?
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Hi there.
I definitely didn't see you come in there.
Oh.
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 Oh, hi. Hey.
Oh, you've come.
Oh. Oh. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
I didn't see you come in there.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hey!
Oh, hi. I didn't feel you there.
Enhance. Why won't it enhance? Oh, hello. We didn't see you there.
Yeah, I bet you think that you interrupted our meeting.
But don't worry, you didn't.
We were just acting.
Is there time for questions, or are we? Yeah? Does anyone have a question? Here? Wait for the mic, I think.
I love all the work that you guys have done. I've found some really cool things. I'm waiting for some to come in the mail. Few things. Why did you decide on Amazon as your payment gateway? And I like the new rules that you guys have just put in. And have you thought about anything about more of like, I love the you must do things that are realistic, but as far as guaranteeing that there aren't evil people or people who just think they can do something that is not possible.
Right. Yeah. What was it? I'll start with the first. What was the first question?
About why you chose Amazon as
why
your
we chose
payment
Amazon.
gateway.
Yeah, so to back a project you check out through Amazon. We chose Amazon because they would work with us. They've been a great partner. You know, there's tons. Everyone has an Amazon account, so it worked out well for us. But at the very beginning, we just had this idea, and we were nobodies, and Amazon were like, "That's cool. Let's try it." So they worked with us. So that was exciting. In terms of preventing evil people from being in the world, I'm totally with you. I would love to figure that out. You know, in actuality, you know, we do have some systems in place. We screen for fraud. We screen for identity. We look for a few things. But by and large, the belief behind Kickstarter is that backers are deciding what has validity and what does not. You know, 56% of projects are not funded, so those people are making some sort of judgment on. And so we feel like that's a pretty good mechanism because someone could get some money, but they don't get it unless they get everything. But certainly, you know, what's great is that you have the eyeballs of the internet on every project. You know, posting a project is a very, very public act. And so if you're fudging the numbers a little bit, if you're making things up, if you're pretending something is something that it's not, people are going to call you out on it. And we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen. You know, I think that especially in categories where there's a real fervent community, it's hard to get away with something. And so I think that's been true, and I think over time that will only strengthen as Kickstarter gets bigger. More and more people will be examining these things. You know, the difference between something like Kickstarter and eBay is that to rip someone off on eBay, you just have to fool one person. And on Kickstarter, you're having to fool hundreds or thousands of people, which is significantly more difficult. But it's certainly something that we think a lot about, and the integrity of the system is something that we fiercely defend at every turn. And, you know, we're going to do everything we can to keep out the evil people, as you put it. So, anyone else?
Since you expressed a lot of interest in promoting hardware development, I'm interested in, say, the intellectual property aspect of it. So somebody has an idea and they want to get a prototype going, and they'd love to do a Kickstarter campaign, but they're afraid if I show videos on how to make this whole thing that I haven't built, you know, what kind of coverage I have, what kind of, are you going to provide resources of any kind? Or?
No, we don't. I mean, it's a risk. I mean, if you are concerned that your idea might be stolen, there's no protection that we'll provide. I mean, I think that what you do get is you get sort of the moral ownership of putting your idea out there and saying this is mine, and when someone else rips you off, a lot of people will be really mad at them and they'll give you credit for it. But certainly, you know, you're stepping out on a limb. But you know, as everyone knows, you know, the magic is not in having ideas, it's in pulling them off. And so if you feel like that's a critical part, then maybe something like this isn't right because it is so public. You can't say fund my mystery hardware project. You know, that wouldn't work out too well. But if you're willing to take that risk, if you think that if you're excited about this is the best way you think to do it, then I'd say go for it. Whoever, you sir, yeah.
Being 14, do you think it would be like a hindrance or like an advantage? Like, I don't know. Like, do people frown upon 14-year-olds doing this, or?
Well, our terms stipulate that you have to be 18. So you would have to do it with your parent or with the teacher or something like that. So if they would be willing to register on your behalf and they could run the project with you, that would be okay. But sure, being young, I mean, I think that's something cool. There's recently a group of 6th grade girls from South Carolina who sent a bunch of stuff into space, and I backed it, I think, 70% because it was 6th grade girls from South Carolina. So there is that. It's just cool. But yeah, you would have to do it with your parent. Yeah. Cool.
So I'm wondering, there is reasons why people's projects have made it funded where other projects seem to be so much better, ideas, and others get like millions, like how much thousands of dollars for. So I'm wondering, okay, is there, do you have a help thing on there or help videos, or where do I go to find out how to make sure the best thing how to do it?
We have we've now looked at 70,000 projects. We have some sense of when we look at something whether it's going to click or not. But I think really people are reading projects in a very human way of just, this person seems sincere, this is cool, I'd like to be a part of it. I don't know that there's a special like A plus B equals $$ kind of thing that happens. What we encourage everyone to do is to just be themselves, put their idea out there, and talk about it as honestly as they can, and hope other people get involved. But ultimately, you're at the whims of the internet, and who knows with the internet. But I will say that we do have resources on the site in an area called Kickstarter School where you can read some very basic tips. Honestly, Googling around other people's blogs and sort of postmortems of their own projects, you probably find out a lot more. Marketing and stuff like that. Right. Sure. Yeah, I hear it. We gotta do the next question. I hear you though. I agree.
Yeah. Hi. I was looking. What's the best way to kind of maximize your campaign? External promotion, but also how do you break out your different rewards? Is it good to give different levels, premium packages of the product, and then maybe some sort of service or some sort of meet and greet, or have you seen different things that have worked for people?
Well, we really like to emphasize that people do higher tiered rewards. It could be $500, could be $100, could be $1,000. That do involve backers physically get to be a part of things. So in films, it's like go and visit the set. And even if no one chooses that, it still, I think, signals something about how you feel about your work, that you're allowing people to come and hang out and be a part of it. So I think things like that are really, really positive and just say a lot about who you are and what kind of project it is. In terms of like the best way to set up rewards, honestly, the best advice I can give, the economy and the best practices of Kickstarter are being created by the second. Kickstarter is different today than it was yesterday because of some things that happened this morning. And every project is learning from the ones that came before. So the advice that I would give is probably like 6 months out of date, because it's the last time I really was able to dig in. The best advice that we could possibly give is just to look at lots of projects. Look at projects like yours. Look at projects that you get excited by, and what is it that excites you. Look at your own things that you've backed. What made you back that thing for $100 instead of $50? I think that's the best way. Every project that launches has the potential to be smarter than everyone that launched before it, because it can look at all the lessons that everyone else has learned. And so just studying what's there before, I think, is by far the best way to go about it. By far. For sure. Is this the last question?
Yeah, last
question.
Hi. What are some areas or some projects or some frontiers you guys want to expand into, like project-wise?
We always start with this idea of creative projects, and that's still what it is. It's grounded in just people making things. So there's never going to be like Kickstarter cars or anything like that. The site is really going to be what it is. I would say the places that we're really excited by, where we see sort of new types of projects developing, are both in science and civic projects. So just people doing things to make the world around them better, creating parks, things like that. These projects now are in food, they're in art, they're in design. And those are really cool. We like that. And we also see a lot of like citizen science stuff. There's a guy named Jeffrey Warren from Boston who's done 2 amazing projects, one called Balloon Mapping, where BP was blocking people from looking at the oil spill in the Gulf. And so he had this idea of buying enormous balloons and miles of string and attaching digital cameras to the balloons and just sailing them over the Gulf and just having them take a picture every second. And he used that to create a map of the oil spill, and he did it every day so no one else could see it. He just put up another project that's still funding, which is a DIY spectrometer. It's an app for your iPhone that allows you to like check the cleanliness of pond water and things like that. And these are just very inventive approaches to real problems in a very creative way. And so stuff like that is really, really exciting, and we would love to see a lot more of that. Whether we formalize something to do that, I don't know, but really, Kickstarter is a pretty open canvas for people to do a lot of stuff. And as the team, we just wake up every day and just look and see what people have come up with. So it's very cool. All right, thank you, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I hope you enjoyed that conversation. What'd you think, Mike?
I thought it was good. I mean, he answered a lot of questions I think that people were wondering about with the new rules, and I think he presented the kind of the goal in the community in a proper light in terms of trying to be a platform for innovation and for getting people to create.
Yeah, I really felt like it was. It's all really positive, and it's all done for these changes are pretty great reasons for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some applications like, well, if it's single quantities only, what if you want to do a speaker with 2 colors, right? Does that qualify as single quantity or not?
I think you're going to get the chance to ask him that question.
Yeah, but I mean, I think outside of something like that, I really think it's overall it's a positive.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about who you are? You're Mike Prasad, and what else? What else can you tell people about yourself?
I'm known as the father of the Twittering food truck. Did that with Kogi Barbecue in Los Angeles, and more recently, I'm running an incubator out of Hawaii right now. And more recently, I did a food project called Hawaii Bitters, which is we use Kickstarter, and we raised $20,000 to make bottling the flavors of Hawaii into bottles for cocktails and bars everywhere. But I'm also been a really avid Kickstarter backer. Over 330 projects backed, so I've been backing for a while.
That's exciting. That's really cool. All right, let me see if I can get Yancey over here. Yep, here, he's coming right now. So, oh. Awesome. Yeah, hold on one second. He said he's back 330 projects. So,
Hello.
Hey, Yancey.
Hey, man. How's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for taking the time to chat.
Yeah, sure. Where are you right now? You're in Hawaii?
I'm actually in a hotel in Hawaii, getting ready to get bitters into production.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah. Great talk. I thought, you really presented Kickstarter in a really proper, creative light. And I think, Brooklyn was saying that earlier, and how it really is a platform. And I know a lot of people look at it and they don't understand it, and it's kind of a new concept, especially with a lot of the businesses here. I've given 2 workshops on when and when not to kickstart and how to do it. And people see the headlines, someone with $1 million or $8 million or whatever, and they don't really understand that you really have to think about what you're doing. And what I love about the platform is it forces you to validate before you build and before you waste the money. And so I run an incubator out here.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things we really do is try and validate before you spend too much money. And I love that Kickstarter has that built in, right?
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is that you mentioned the $1 million projects, and those are enormous outliers. The average project in Kickstarter raises around $5,000 from about 70 people. So, in the average project, all of your backers' first names, even some of them beforehand, some of them after, and we think that's great. The $1 million projects have raised a lot of eyeballs and made a lot of people look at this and try to figure out what it is. But we already know what it is. It's a way for people to make things and build community. Just some people have been able to build really enormous communities. But it's really at its best when it's not, when the money is only a part of it. I think the community is more valuable that comes from money, that comes than money, because that's just love and support. That's just there for you in the future. Money gets spent. Community and real backers are people that'll stick around for a long time.
I think the ability to create, one thing, I also was involved in Kogi Barbecue out of LA,
Mm-hmm.
which was the first twittering food truck. And part of what we did there was create a digital venue through Twitter for curating culture, right? And most brands or most small business owners never think about the culture. They think about the product and the sales and the production. They don't think about who is the customer and how does that translate into a culture. And then by providing the backer updates and providing that video and providing a lot of the profile information, you kind of are forced to think about that and think about how to impart the story behind the product, which then creates culture, which then creates a passionate consumer. So I love that you're pretty much scaffolding that process, right? The people that maybe aren't thinking about those aspects.
Yeah, I mean, it was only mildly intentional, I think. I think we were trying to build. I don't know. My partner Perry Chen, who's our CEO, he originally had the idea for Kickstarter, and me and him and Charles Adler, the three of us, when we were working on this, we're trying to think of how does this page get structured, what is the process like, what is the flow like, and we were just guessing. But I think that what it did is that it's created a template for how to think about what you're doing, and it allows everyone to express themselves in similar ways. It has the idea that behind every project there's a story, there's a community, there's a process, and that there are benefits for everybody. We really like the fact that a successful Kickstarter doesn't just benefit its creator; it benefits a whole community of backers around it. But there are things like this risk and challenges section that we added. That's another way of trying to encourage people to think about things before they're going into it. It's really important to do those reality checks and try to anticipate the things that could go wrong, because things will go wrong. We know that ourselves from the creation of Kickstarter itself. Perry originally had the idea for Kickstarter in 2001, and it launched in 2009. And the three of us were working on it for about 3 years before it launched, because we ran into every problem imaginable. And this is something that a lot of people face with creative projects, with starting businesses, with all these things. And you got to be ready for it. That's how real good things get made.
And I've seen the community aspect that you guys have developed around, and I think the social following projects, or following people within the ecosystem is definitely a good move in the right direction. But getting people to see social buy-in is just definitely great.
Yeah.
So a couple of people hit me up with some quick questions, really straightforward. If you don't mind, if I could ask you.
Yeah, sure.
Video length, is that something that you guys have any insight on what the ideal video length is?
On what? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Length of video. I know people have a lot of estimates on what that should be.
On what video? I'm sorry, they just started the next presentation. It's become...
no worries. Ideal video length.
Oh, ideal video length. I would say 3 minutes or less, I think. It's probably going to be close to whatever the YouTube model is, of just, sadly, most people will stop after a certain amount of time. But I think anything over 3.5, 4 minutes, it's got to be good, I think, to keep people engaged.
And then on the new rules with the no multiple items, what about like color versions or special editions, stuff like that?
Yeah, as of right now, we're asking people to just backers choose their color. But certainly we're listening to feedback on that one, and we'll try to figure out the thing that makes the most sense for projects. The intention there was just to really reemphasize that these things are being made. And so when you have the one per backer idea, then backing a project is kind of like, I'm in for one, and it's kind of just like it's a vote of confidence. It's like, cool, that sounds great. But we certainly know there are projects where that doesn't make much sense. Like, it wouldn't make sense to get just one die instead of a pair of dice. And so we have the ideas of sets, so people can say if their thing works best as 5 or 6 or something. They're free to do that. But there's a lot of nuance to this stuff that we're figuring out. What we're trying to do with those guidelines is just set a sense of how we felt Kickstarter worked best, and to give some expectations for creators on how to approach things. And and there's a lot of time to figure out the exact right ways. As I said in the talk, we plan on Kickstarter being around forever. And so I don't know. We'll keep tweaking and trying to find the right balance that creates the best environment for both creators and backers.
Awesome. One thing I always encounter with people looking at Kickstarter, and I've advised a number of Kickstarter projects, is that they have these prize structures that are reward structures that are very much donation. It's like, I'm going to give you an item, but you're going to pay a lot of money for it, versus what I think in the most successful projects I've backed have been, this is a product I'm getting below retail because I'm pitching it ahead of time. Mm-hmm. The value proposition for rewards, any insight on what works and what doesn't, and really what the ideal target should be, or is it pretty kind of whatever you think?
Well, I think that it probably comes down to the audience for each project. There's kind of the previous model was the PBS, get the Ken Burns DVD set for $500, and obviously, you go in a store and the Ken Burns DVD set's $80 or something like that. Yeah. So there's definitely an inflation, and so for certain projects, I think that works because those people are just like, cool, go do your thing, all the best, and there isn't that much of a consumer kind of behavior. And so, I think that certainly to get the widest number of backers, you probably are going to want to allow people to pay about what they expect to pay. But, we are really serious about trying to de-emphasize the notion of Kickstarter as a store, because it creates really outsized expectations for backers. I think it works much better as a place to fund projects, exactly what it says on the homepage, and that the benefit of a funded project will be that it produces something, but it's really about the whole process. And there's degrees to that, and there's certainly because it's kind of a new idea. It's one that I think we're all still trying to understand exactly. And over time we'll try to keep finding better and better ways to express it and to make it work at its best. But certainly, backers are not going to want to pay a huge premium unless they really love you. Mom is happy to pay $100 for the $25 DVD anytime, because that's mom. But someone who just liked your video and is thinking about getting involved, they're probably gonna blanch at that kind of number.
So 2 more questions on that. So one would be customization, right? So a lot of user customization. That's definitely a mechanism for getting increased reward and increasing your margin on a product, so you can actually go in and build a business versus just deliver a product, right? Mm-hmm. Do you find that is just kind of a trivial thing, or do you think that's really integral to the
by customization?
Do you mean, experience?
What do you mean by customization?
Like a lot of Kickstarters they'll customize a product to you, or right. Or stuff like that.
I think those
at what
things,
point does that become trivial versus actual value?
Those things, I think that I would guess on the net that people probably regret doing those things, because when you have too much of I think there's a real danger to stretch goals and to lots of tweaked stuff, because it's possible that it inhibits the actual production of the project itself, because at a certain point you're just trying to make a million things for a million backers, and you've suddenly promised Bluetooth 7.0 and everything, and the scope, there's kind of a scope creep that can happen with projects if people get too aggressive with that. So I would say only do those things if you're really confident that you can make them in the same way you're making everything else. If you're having to figure out an entire different tooling scheme, or having to buy different supplies just for something for 5 backers, even if you're getting a lot of funds out of it, there's really going to be a drag that's going to impact your other 500 backers. And at a certain point, I think that's not really worth it. But for these things, we've never offered any advice about these things or really talked much about them. We're just sort of just like everyone else, watching and learning from the community to see what works works best. But the stretch goal thing started, I don't know, maybe 6-8 months ago, something like that, mainly in games, and it started to expand across other categories. And we're still seeing how well it works. I think it ups the requirements on the creator to make stuff, and that's not always easy.
Okay, I got actually one or two more good questions. One would be new crowdsourcing bill, Jobs Act, with equity shares and the ability to do that. Have you guys thought about that, like getting into that game of crowdfunding, or something you can just stick with your original model?
Yeah, we're not going to do that. We have no interest. What we believe is really special about Kickstarter is it's a place where people can fund ideas that have no hope of making money. The goal of the Kickstarter project isn't to make money; it's to make things. But if you look at the traditional way products are funded through investment or loans or anything like that, the projects that get money are things that have the potential to make money, to produce revenue. But that's just 0.01% of ideas that even have that hope, and even fewer that will actually do it. And so, from the very, very beginning of this idea, we were really driven by this notion that Kickstarter could be a place where ideas could exist just for their own sake, just because people wanted them to. That there's a real beauty in that it's important that somewhere in our society there exists a place that's not about making money, it's about making things, and it's about creating community around it. And so we feel committed to that to our deepest core, and so it's not something that we're going to participate in.
Very cool. Yeah, one of in our upcoming next round for our incubator, we're looking at a special section of applicants that we'll accept specifically to push to a crowdfund or a Kickstarter type platform. So, and then on that note, I get asked a lot, and I always say, if you're going to crowdfund, if you're going to put it out there, go to Kickstarter first. If you don't get in, reapply. If you don't get in again, maybe go to another site, maybe like Indiegogo. And my argument is that Kickstarter reaches an audience beyond who I can push to the site. So beyond becoming a mechanism for just checking out and paying for it, there's like our with Hawaii Bitters, our graph. At the beginning it was 70%. We were pushing the sales, but at the end of it was 70% green, which was from Kickstarter browsers, which is great, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the question is for you: if someone said, "What's the number one reason to use Kickstarter over anybody else?" and what do you think that is?
I don't know. I think that there are a lot of reasons to use Kickstarter. I mean, it's by far the biggest of any sites out there. I think at last count there's about 400 or 500 crowdfunding sites out there in the world, and every single one of them looks exactly like Kickstarter. And there's a reason for that. We're not copying other people, I can assure you. But it's millions of people come to Kickstarter every week. We spent the first year and a half having to explain to everyone over and over and over what Kickstarter is. Thankfully now it seems like people know that, so that part of the conversation doesn't have to happen as often. But I don't know. We've built a really great product. We think really hard about it. There's a great community of people who want to be a part of things, and I don't know. It's a great thing to be a part of. I mean, I think it's just you're joining a really dynamic community. It's amazing that on Kickstarter you have a comic book artist sitting next to a chef, sitting next to a documentary filmmaker, sitting next to a maker. I don't think there's anywhere else in the universe where that is true, and we're really proud of that. We're really proud of how that works, and the community that's really developed, thanks to that.
Very cool. That's my questions. I don't know if anything else you want to talk about, or
No. I think this is my first Google Hangout, so I broke new ground today. But no, I think it's time for me to go check out the Maker Faire. So it's nice to talk to you, and it's awesome that you backed so many projects, and your Bitters project was cool.
Thank you.
And it's great to meet you.
Cool. Actually, one quick question, and it's something I haven't been able to find clarity on. So the product I'm working on, I'm helping out, one of my best friends is doing it. It's called Home of the Brave. A shout out is myhomeisbrave.com, and it's a graphic novel that is bringing awareness to child wage slavery and child trafficking. And so they're gonna obviously raise money like any other graphic novel to publish. But the question is, they want to look into. I think they just applied for Kickstarter for approval. They're looking into. They want to put some money towards donation, towards causes.
Right.
And I know you can't fund nonprofit ideas, but if a project says I want to give 10% to
no, we don't allow that. We have a strict rule against charity fundraising or cause-based fundraising. And even if this graphic novel was focused more on ending child slavery than it was on creating a graphic novel, we would probably say no. I think that we really feel like creativity deserves its own space, and we understand why people have the motivations to spread the money around in those kind of ways, and I think that's obviously very noble and important thing to do. But I think it could be dangerous in something like Kickstarter, because then it could be people are one-ing up each other to how they're distributing their money and to how giving they're being. And our interest is ultimately in just people making things, and we think that the system works best if it's focused solely on that.
Okay, no, that's how they applied it. They applied it as
Yeah.
they
Cool.
want to print it. They want to get it out there. Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's really nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Take care. I'll talk to you again sometime, and enjoy the rest of your day.
And actually, if you could, I'll send you a DM a Twitter message. I would
Okay.
love to send over some bitters to the office.
Sure. Cool. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot. Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Take
All
care.
right, thank you.
Yeah.